Sex education in primary schools. Do you want to know what it's like in Scotland? Let's have a look at the government's very own resources. Sex education in upper primary school in Scotland. We're looking today at the government's official resources that have been developed, that are already being used in schools, and they will be rolled out more widely as the process goes on. Now, you could make a case that there's not really any need for sex education at all in primary schools, or if there is, it should be a pretty minimal variety. But let's see what we have in primary schools in Scotland. Okay, first slide, man and a woman in bed naked. If a man and a woman are having sex, they both want to do it. The man can put his penis inside the woman's vagina and gently move his penis in and out. This should feel nice for both people. Now, I would suggest that's an unnecessary level of detail for primary school kids. But anyway, let's see what's coming up next. Two women in bed together, naked. When a woman feels like having sex with her partner, her vulva and vagina might feel tingly and might be wet or slippery to touch. Definitely too much information, entirely unnecessary. And you can see again the message right the way through is to relativize, normalize all forms of sexual relationships as being on an equal footing. Right, next slide. I mean, no prize for guessing what's coming next. Obviously, we've got two men naked in bed. When people have sex, they might have an orgasm. For a woman, an orgasm is a special nice feeling in her body. For a man, if he has an orgasm called ejaculation, a white liquid called semen will come out of the hard penis and it will feel nice. Now that raises an obvious question in the minds of the children. Okay, it's told us what the man and woman do. But what about two men and two women? What do they do in bed to have these orgasms? Is that really what we want primary school kids thinking about? Not really. Now next, just look at this. Totally unnecessary. So you've got classes of primary school kids, girls sitting next to boys, while that image is put up on the screen and the teacher discusses the girl's anatomy in that way. It's ridiculous. It removes the mystique of sex. It reduces sex to its factual content. And what this will tend to do to these kids is to make them think that they're experts in sex because they know the names of all these parts of the body. But do people need to know those names, boys in particular? Not at all. So just remember, the people running the education system in Scotland look at that image and think that's what I want to see on the screen in primary school classrooms. They're the people in charge. We want to change it. Right, what next? Contraception. Condoms offer protection too. If an adult, they're trying to be responsible, so it's not the kids, this is for adults. If an adult has an infection called a sexually transmitted infection, it can be passed on to another person when they have sex. If a man or woman uses a condom, this protects them from an STI. Well, it doesn't entirely, and you should make that clear. Then look at the text on the image. Use condoms to protect yourself. So they're trying to give a pretense of being responsible and all. This is not really for you, it's just for adults. But that really gives the game away a bit, doesn't it? In this philosophy of sex education, the harm reduction philosophy, condoms are the universal panacea. They eliminate both of the bad effects of sex. There's two dangers with sex. You can get a sexually transmitted infection, or maybe even worse still, you can have a baby. But the thing is, condoms are not entirely effective against those, and even where they are, they're not effective against the emotional and relational harm to young people. Is there anything in these materials presenting reasons to not have sex, reasons to wait until you're married, presenting the philosophy of marriage as understood through cultures, through millennia, introducing some sort of moral aspect to sexuality? Not a glimmer. What else have we got? When a baby is born, the parents are told what sex their baby is. The doctor looks at the baby's body. If the baby has a vulva, the doctors say the baby is a female or girl baby. Okay, yeah. Mostly this is easier for the doctor to decide, but for some babies it isn't so clear, and the doctor might say that the baby is intersex. Okay, so fair enough. Intersex conditions are rare developmental problems, but there's a whole host of other rare developmental problems that can affect babies. Why is it just intersex that we're focusing on here, that children need to learn about in primary school? Obviously because it comes under the LGBTI umbrella, and the LGBT campaigning groups basically run the Scottish education system. So if it's on their agenda, it's on the whiteboard in the classroom. Well, continuing with the same theme, more of the routine transgender things. My name is Charlie. When I was born, my parents called me Charlie, and I like to be called Charlie. I don't like to wear dresses. Sometimes people can be mean, but I just get on with it. People just need to see me as Charlie. People just need to see me as Charlie. In other words, you have to accept transgender ideology and regard this person as a boy, even though actually they're not. Okay, and one last bit of the transgender indoctrination. This is from the teacher's notes. Key points to get over are: acknowledge that for people who are transgender, things can be difficult when other people are cruel or rude to them. Well, obviously, and no one's condoning that, but it always starts with the emotional pitch. Not a rational argument, an emotional thing. We need to feel sorry for these people. People mistreat them, which is true to some extent, but we don't base our philosophy of sexuality and gender on the fact that some people are unpleasant to people. The most important thing to remember when you hear about people who are transgender or meet a person who is transgender is that they are just like everyone else, except for one thing: how their gender works. Well, I disagree with that. It's not that transgender people's gender works differently. In a sense, it's that their gender doesn't work. In a sense, it's disordered. They've got a problem with gender identity. But this lesson is designed to give the opposite impression. Remember too that every one of us is born unique and special. This is what makes us so interesting. Now, unique, special, celebrating diversity. So if someone's transgender, that's just another wonderful part of the rich tapestry of life, and we should be delighted about it. But I'm not. I see it as a mental illness, as an affliction, as a problem that some people face. So I think the message delivered to the primary school kids is wrong. So we're done with the RSHP program in primary school now. Now, having seen what's taught at primary school, you might be thinking, well, what's left? What else is there to teach them about sex and relationships in high school? Well, I assure you, they've got plenty more material up their sleeve. So this is part of a series. I will be going on to look at the materials for older children as well, and quite a lot of them are absolutely shocking and disgusting. So do subscribe to see what's going on in the senior schools as well. Thanks for watching.